everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Today we have certified nutritionist Claudia Codrington, who will be speaking to us about how to have a healthy diet on a budget. Uh, while we wait for other people, why don't I introduce Nazareth Housing? All right, so Nazareth Housing is a community-based organization who is promoting housing stability and economic mobility among families and individuals of New York City. I'm going to repeat this information at the end of this webinar, but I also want to do it now. Section 8 voucher, the wait list is now open and it's going to stay open until the 28th of this month. You can apply online or you can also contact us and we'll help you fill out the application. Bienvenidos a todos, lo voy a decir en español. Muchísimas gracias por participar. Un poquito de información antes de pasarle a la nutricionista Claudia Codrington, que nos va a hablar de cómo mantener una dieta saludable con un presupuesto pequeño. Una información que le quiero dar es que sección 8, el voucher, la aplicación ahora está abierta y estará abierta hasta el 28 de este mes. Ustedes pueden aplicar en línea o también pueden contactarnos y nosotros los vamos a ayudar a aplicar. Also, ERAP is now available to low and moderate income households at risk of experiencing homelessness and housing instability. You can apply online. The application is not open yet, but you can apply online or you can get in contact with us and we'll help you apply once the application is open. Otro programa que está disponible para nosotros es ERAP, es un programa de asistencia para familias de bajo ingreso o ingreso moderado. La aplicación todavía no está disponible, pero cuando esté disponible, puede contactarnos a nosotros y nosotros lo podemos ayudar a aplicar o pueden aplicar en línea cuando la aplicación esté disponible. So before we give the space to Claudia, I would love for you or Rosario to talk a little bit about EGNA since you are the sponsors of today's webinar. Yeah. Welcome, Rosario. Can you speak to us a little bit about EGNA and what you guys do?
No problem. Well, thank you for having me. I was invited by Aetna. It's one of the companies I'm under contract with. I'm a broker with them, and pretty much what I do is I sit down with the client and they explain to me their needs. So I go over the benefits with them. So for example, right now we're having a benefit as like, for example, the food card, where you can use that to go to like Walgreens or CVS and you could buy the foods that you want for the amount that they're offering. You have to have Medicaid, of course, to have the food card. So, but we have different plans that cater for different individuals. Some people have Medicaid, some people don't, but mostly as long as they have the Medicare card. And then what I do is I ask who are their doctors. I make sure that doctors are in network. And then I enroll them in the Aetna plan. Aetna I've been working with for a while, and it's a really good company. You don't need any referrals to see doctors. And most of the plans don't have any type of premium as well. But like I said, Aetna is one of the plans I'm contracted with. I also work with other carriers such as Emblem, Fidelis, Health First. But today I was invited by Aetna, and it's a great plan, and I'm here to assist more than just enrolling into a plan. I also help people with the Medicaid application. I help them do the application with extra help. Extra help comes from Social Security, where when they need assistance with copays for their medications, and their copays are too high. Social Security has a program where the copays are really low, and they're able to afford their medications. So I help them apply for that, for Medicaid, different programs beyond just enrolling a client into a plan. So that's what I do.
That's really nice. Edgar, do you want to add anything before we give this space to Claudia?
No, thank you, Cremili, for inviting us, and I hope everybody enjoys the presentation. Espero que todos disfruten de información que va a proveer Claudia. Muchas gracias a Cremili por todo.
Thank you, guys. And thank you, Egna, for sponsoring today's webinar. So, Claudia, the floor is all yours.
I'm just going to say one quick thing. I'm so sorry. I'm just going to put my name in the chat. Am I not?
Yes, that would be really nice.
Questions.
Yeah, put your contact information. Yes,
okay.
Of course.
All right. It's all yours, Claudia.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all, and good evening, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be with you all. Again, I remember the last time you had a lot of questions, so I would expect the same this time. My topic today is eating healthy on a budget, and why I think it is important. Many times we talk to groups and we talk about the benefits, of eating healthy, and there will always be a couple of people will say, but it could be expensive to eat healthy. And as nutritionists, we try to tell people you could eat healthy on a budget. When you go shopping, look at the food items that cost a lot. Your meat items, all the animal products, they are at a higher cost. And you can get your protein, which is so essential, from other sources which are less expensive. So we will go through that. Also, we encourage you to make healthier food choices, lower sodium, lower fat, if you buy foods that has these conditions already in there for you, you're going to pay because they are paying people to make all these additions or these, take this out of the foods. But if you do it yourself, then you can change again. What I mean is like this. We always talk about eating healthy. What really does healthy eating mean? Healthy eating simply means eating a variety of foods that give you the nutrients. The nutrients are the main thing. The nutrients you need to maintain your health, the nutrients you need to feel good, the nutrients you need to have energy, even on a tight budget, is important to eat as healthy as possible. So I'll go through some of the tips. When you go shopping, it can be difficult when looking for healthy and affordable foods. There are 10 useful tips we always try to give people. Know your food groups. Know the foods that are important to your body. First and foremost, we know of fruits and vegetables. Why do we think fruits and vegetables are important? That's where all your micronutrients are. That's where your vitamin C is. That's where your B vitamins, which you need for your mind. You get that in your fruits and vegetables. That's where you get your fiber. Fiber is important. You get that in your fruits and vegetables. But most of all, you get those antioxidants. You hear the word antioxidants all the time. You get that mainly in fruits and vegetables, and we will go through that. Then you need protein. You definitely need protein to maintain your lean body mass. As you're growing different stages in life, you need certain amounts of protein. The only people who have to be cautious with your protein intake is if you have a problem with your kidney. Then you may be placed on a limited protein intake. But once the doctor doesn't have you on a limited protein intake, you would need adequate protein for your body to maintain your lean body mass. So that's important. So your fruits and vegetables, don't think you have to always buy. Fresh is always best. You choose fresh over frozen. But if you see something that's frozen or canned, you can also buy that. But you got to look for the sugar content if it's in the canned products. In the canned products, if the fruits are high in sugar in a thick syrup, what you can do, You can take it out, rinse it. You know, we are just trying to get the cheapest option. You can take it, rinse it out, and get some of that sugar, or buy your fruits packed in water. Best yet, fresh fruits. And always buy in season. When things are in season, you pay less because there's a whole lot of it. And there's a lot of competition, you know. So the vendors get a better price. They pass that better price on to us. And therefore, it's healthier to buy fruits in season. When it's not in season, we pay more for it. So keep that in mind. Buy the different colors. Every different color in the fruits provide different nutrients to the body. And we will go through that. Choose lean meats of protein. Don't waste your money on red meats if it's not on sale. And the thing about it, meat is your highest priced item. And it's because people eat more than the recommended amount. We recommend 3 ounces of lean protein, whether it's chicken, whether it's fish, whether it's meat, it's only 3 ounces. So really with 1 pound, which has 16 ounces, you can get almost 5 servings, but most people do not. So in that case, your food item becomes very expensive because that's the most expensive item when you go shopping. Choose lean meats like chicken, turkey breast, and red meats are really the new dietary guidelines are now telling us no more than twice a week and keep to the 3 ounce portion. When you eat large amounts of red meats, what do? You add more cholesterol, more saturated fats, you affect the heart. So it's not the best choice to take large portions of red meats. Go with the lean turkey, the lean chicken, and of course, seafood. Your seafood, very healthy, very low in fat. And most of them, if you go with certain seafoods, like the salmon, the sardines, the tuna, albacore, you get the omega-3. We know now omega-3 fatty acids are very healthy for the heart and healthy for the brain. When you're eating and you're eating to keep your heart healthy, remember you're also keeping your brain healthy. Most of the foods that helps the heart also helps the brain. But let's get back to protein and the meats. All we need is 3 ounces. 3 ounces of meat or chicken or fish, you get 21 grams of protein. So there's no need for excessive amounts because that's where you get all the, well, we like to say the bad fats. They're not the healthiest fats because that's where you would get some saturated fats. Now the chicken and the turkey, you get less saturated fat. Saturated fats are the fats that clogs up your arteries, so you don't want excessive amounts of that. And most time, the higher price items are usually high in saturated fats. So when we talk about red meat, we talk about also the processed meats. Anything that's processed, you're going to pay for it because it gives the manufacturers, it's an extra step they have to take to process it. That's like the hot dogs, you know, the bacon, the sausages, all of these foods, they are processed because that's not the form in which, you know, they came. And so they're also very high in sodium. They're high in the bad fats that clogs up your arteries. So don't waste your money on that. Choose things like beans. Beans are very healthy and it's not as expensive. Half a cup of beans is like equivalent to 1 ounce of meat in terms of nutrition. But it's better because you do not get saturated fats. We are not saying you have to take all the meat and the chicken and all of that out of your diet. What we are saying is that you don't have to eat steak to the what we recommend, 3 ounces. If you need more, maybe from a protein standpoint, what you can do is add beans to make, get the extra protein. Don't keep exceeding the large portions of red meats because all you're doing is adding saturated fats, clogs up your arteries. Anything that clogs the arteries to the heart clogs the brain. We have to think of as we age. We want to age healthy. And that's why we have so much Alzheimer's and dementia is because of poor dietary habits for many years. So you know now your beans are healthy. In addition to the protein, they have the B vitamins. They have a lot of fiber. Healthy tofu is also a cheaper product. You get good quality protein from that also. When it comes to dairy, choose the low-fat dairy items. No one after the age of 2, we say after 2 years old, should be using high-fat dairy products. If you look at even the daycares, we are now instituting low-fat milk after the age of 2 because the whole milk has a whole lot of saturated fats. Remember, saturated fats are the fats that clogs your arteries. So don't waste your money on things which are making you unhealthy. That's what we are trying to say. Use whole grains when you go shopping. If you go to get bread and you see a bread that looks brown in color, but on the label it is saying wheat bread. It says wheat bread. Don't be fooled and buy that bread. Because maybe what they probably use a little food coloring, and to get the bread, they add a little honey or maybe molasses, something, and the color turned brown. It must say whole. You want the best for your money. You want when you eat a slice of bread, you get all the nutrients you get from it. And if it just says wheat bread, it does not have the fiber. We need fiber. Our diets are inadequate in fiber. That is why we have so many cases of diabetes. We have so many cases of colon cancer, inadequate fiber in our diets. And it's simple to get what we recommend, like almost 20 grams of, 30 grams of fiber a day. We could get it, but you got to make the right food choices. So remember, when you go to buy your bread, do not buy refined grains. Refined grains are processed. When anything is processed, they remove a lot of the fiber from it. Once you remove all that fiber, you're losing the nutrients, the micronutrients, which is the small nutrients. You may get the same amount of starch in there, but you're going to lose the micronutrients, which is like your B vitamins, as I said before, and these are the small nutrients. So choose the whole grain products. When it comes to fat, we need some fat. We cannot survive on a fat-free diet. I hear people all the time, oh, I'm not taking in any fat. And I'm saying, I don't know why they should say that. We need some fat in the diet. Your vitamin A, your vitamin D, your vitamin E, and vitamin K cannot be broken down if there is not a little fat in your system. We call those vitamins the fat-soluble vitamins. There are some vitamins that are water-soluble. That's like the vitamin A, the vitamin B, vitamin C. They could be broken down in water. But your fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, and K need a little fat in the system. But we want you to use healthy fats. Don't waste your calories on fats that are not providing some kind of health and nutrient to your system. Choose avocados. Avocados are very healthy fat. In addition to the monounsaturated fat, which is a healthy fat, they also have some folate, which helps the brain in avocados. So it's a healthy fat. Olive oil, that's a very healthy fat. It's a monounsaturated fat, which means it's healthy, it's good for the heart, it's good for the body, it's healthy. Nuts, all the nuts are very healthy. In addition, you get protein. So there is no reason to eat excessive amounts of red meats, sending up your food budget, buying these red meats to get protein. So you have a small amount of the meats and you add nuts. 1 ounce of nuts, you get 7 grams of protein, just like an ounce of meat. But look what you're getting with the nuts. You're getting the healthy fats, whereas with the meat, you get the saturated fats, which clogs up the arteries. So that is how we have to eat as we get older. Or even, you're younger people, you got to be eating healthier. So choose the healthy fats. That's where the nuts come in. Nuts help the brain. We are even looking now at sometimes people who complain they don't sleep well. and things like that, we are looking at what foods could actually help and promote better sleep and relaxation. And it helps the brain, so to speak. And a lot of the nuts are coming up high on that list. Even pistachios is getting, we are learning more about that nut, very healthy. So again, it's a healthier fat. Because many times I hear people say, oh, I don't eat too much avocados because it's fat, it's fattening, but it has a healthy fat. You would have to eat a lot for it to gain weight. But even so, you get good benefits, not like the other oils that will not give you a healthy type of fat in the system and clog up your arteries. It doesn't do that. So to use your money wisely when you go shopping, we always recommend make a list, write down the foods that you really need, check your pantries and look at things that are on sale. Frozen items, fresh is always best, we know that. But sometimes frozen could be better, and I'll tell you why. If you go shopping and outside the store with the sun hitting directly on the fruits and vegetables, you have the ultraviolet rays of the sun affects the nutrient content of some of our fruits and vegetables if it is sitting outside. I try not, if I go shopping, not to buy anything that is sitting out in the sun for a very long time because you don't want that ultraviolet rays from the sunlight to kind of reduce the nutrient content of something that is fresh. So sometimes in that case, frozen may be better, because frozen, they flash freeze the products as they, pick it, they flash freeze it, it's not bad. But fresh, that's why the farmer's market, we love the farmer's market. It's fresh stuff, they're there, and it's healthy at a good cost. So if something is frozen, it's on sale, fine. You can buy it, you stock up on it, so you know you have your vegetables there and your fruits. Buy local foods in season. When anything is in season, you get the most nutrients from the product. It's in season, they're getting a lot of the crops, so it's healthier. It is not sitting in a warehouse for a long time. It's not in some freezer or some, you're getting it fresher, so it's healthier. So farmers market, some of the farm stands, natural food stores, you get a good price on healthy foods. Again, fruits and vegetables bought in season will be cheaper and will taste better. So it's a matter of taste and you're paying less for it. What we want people to know, there are over $360 billion worth of coupons, which is provided annually, always around. You can get coupons somewhere or the other. Search online, look at flyers and coupon books, in-store coupons, newspapers, magazines. Make use of the coupons when you get them. Some item is on sale, then you use your coupons, you get an even better price. And why we are focusing on that, because many times, this is the story we hear. Nutritionist tells us, as I repeated before, to eat this, eat that, but the price, the cost. So we are trying to show that you could get healthy foods without spending exorbitant amount of money. Most grocery stores, in the center of the stores, that's where you find your frozen items and so on. Remember to look and check. Sometimes you get every 2 or 3 months, they rotate stuff and you get a good price. Don't buy foods that you would not use normally just because you have a coupon. You may have a coupon or you see something on sale and you buy it, but you're not using it. It sits there, it's losing its freshness, and so it's a waste of money. Watch for food labels. Some packages may make claims that it's light or low fat, but you got to know what that means. You may be on a special diet. You may probably want to lose some weight, or you're taking a medication where it says that reduce fat, reduce sodium, or reduce cholesterol. You got to know what that is. So if something is low calorie, it should say 40 calories or less per serving. If you're one who read labels, you want to know if it's low, the item per serving. If it's low, If it says 40, less than 30, it's low. If it's light, when we say something is light, L-I-T-E, or sometimes L-I-G-H-T, it means it has almost 50% less than the regular product. So if you're looking in terms of weight loss, or maybe you're on a lower fat diet, the 50% or even 1/3 fewer calories is considered light. Fat free. For a product to claim that it's fat free, it has to be a half of gram of fat, which is very, very little. For example, let's take 8 ounces of regular milk. 8 ounces of regular milk has 12 grams of protein and 10 grams of fat. If you go for the lower calorie milk, it's going to have maybe like 3 grams of fat. And then if you go for fat-free, it will have 0 grams of fat. So you got to look at that. In terms of cholesterol, if you want to know if the product is high in cholesterol, 20 milligrams or less of cholesterol and 2 grams or less of saturated fat, then that product can say it is low in cholesterol. Other than that, it cannot make the claims that it's low in cholesterol. It should say 20 milligrams or less of cholesterol and 2 grams or less of saturated fat. Why we are so concerned about saturated fat. Saturated fat and cholesterol are not the same. Because cholesterol, let's go touch a little on that. We need some cholesterol in the body. The problem is our diets are too high. We eat too much of it. And anything from an animal, keep that in mind, is going to have cholesterol. So you look at what you are eating. It's another reason we are advocating to have more plant foods in the diet. You see it now, plant-based foods. Things have come a long way in the last 10, 15 years. We are seeing more products now that are low in fat. We have more plant-based products, less animal products. The animal products have the saturated fats. The saturated fats, think of saturated fats as the fats that clogs up your arteries. We don't need excessive amounts of that. Very, very little. So low cholesterol has to say 20 milligrams or less. And if a product says less than 2 grams of saturated fat, fine, that's a good product. Sodium. Remember sodium, we talk about salt, but salt is a combination of sodium and chloride. Those two minerals put together, that's how we get salt. We are more concerned with the sodium aspect of salt. So anything that says light sodium has to be about 50% less sodium than the regular product. So if you're going to buy something and it says light in sodium, it has about half the amount of salt that it should have. If it says sodium free, it has to be less than 5 milligrams, which is very low. And very low sodium, it has to be 35 milligrams or less. So low sodium, it will say like 140 milligrams. Don't concern so much in the milligrams. Look at the product when you're looking at the labels. And when it says very low sodium, you know it's very low. There's 35 milligrams. Low sodium will be 140. What you want to see in the foods you buy, it's high fiber. You want to see any food that says 5 grams of fiber or more. You know that is a healthy food for your body. You look at it. When we look at fiber, fiber is one of the foods we are pushing to reduce even cancer. So we want to make sure when we eat foods, it's nourishing our system. You don't want when you eat foods and you go to the doctor, you don't get a good report because of your food intake and maybe inadequate, movement. You don't want that. Shop around the perimeter where you would find less processed foods. Try and get as much fresh fruits into your system. This time of the year is a time we're going to get healthier, vegetables and fruits because they haven't been stored up for a long time. So we make use of that. Use your shopping list and pay attention to things that say sell by. You do not want to go home with something. You may have a coupon, or you remember you're shopping on a budget now. So you do not want to go home and you see something, the date that is, it's past the date. So therefore the date is expired. You're not getting the best, the nutrients from that food for your money. Best if used by, that is the kind of date that you want to make sure the date is a safety date and it's going to nourish your body. Use by dates, that's also very important. You got to pay attention to our portion sizes. You may buy a can of something, look and see how many servings it's entitled to. It may be able to serve 4 persons. You eat the entire thing, you have to think of it as more sodium, more fat, especially if you're watching your weight or things like that. Very important. So as we get older, whether it's older as we are age, whether, even young people, we all have to look at what we eat. That's going to keep us healthy. Build a healthy eating style. All foods and all vegetables, you have to focus on the amounts that you eat and the kind of nutrition that you eat. Sometimes they say, oh, nutritionists, they eat in terms of nutrition, and that's true. We kind of have a tendency to look, and we look at the nutrients in the food and we look to see if it's going to be healthy for our bodies. Make small changes to create a healthier eating style. And after a while, it becomes, natural. You're going to make a healthier food choice. And it's cheaper. That's what we try to tell you. Eating healthy is not more expensive. When you buy processed foods that all you do is put in the oven, you have to remember the manufacturer did some work for you and they're going to charge you for that work that they did. So you pay more. If you can buy the product yourself, buy your fruits and vegetables, you steam it yourself, watch the sodium, that you put on it, use herbs and spices that have good benefits to your body to help your, blood pressure. If you suffer with blood pressure, you don't want excessive amount of salt in the foods. Buy foods that say less sodium, 1/3 or reduced sodium. That's what you want. If it's in a can, as I said before, you drain it. Anything high that says high saturated fats, you want to watch that because it's going to clog up your arteries. Vary your vegetables. So one good thing for us now, there isn't a lot of trans fats in our foods right now. The government has made sure in the last 2 or 3 years, and we have removed the trans fats from most of the foods that was clogging up the arteries. Eat less saturated fats. You will never get saturated fats from fruits and vegetables, and whole grain products. You don't. You get it all from the meats with high in sodium, high in the bad fats, give us a lot of heart problems. We don't need that. Eat the good fats, the olive oil, the canola oil, the avocados, flaxseed and chia seeds. Very healthy. Those are foods that are high in fat, but healthy fats. The chia seeds, the flaxseed, they help the heart, they help the brain. The walnuts, as I said, help the brains. The almonds are very healthy also. It's the nut, all the nuts, the pistachios, very healthy. Now, many times what we do, we do takeouts. And this is very new information I just received from Tufts University, their nutrition department. This is May 2021. And what we are talking about is healthy takeout. A lot of us are buying takeout. Fine, we are rushing, we can't have time to go home and cook or what. And what they're saying is turn up the nutrition and make your takeout choices healthier. And they gave some very simple, tips and tricks. And it tells us we are now taking out food more than ever these days. They say more than 65% of us are regularly ordering foods out, takeout. And this is the study was done by the National Restaurant Association. But if we're going to spend that money on foods, we want it to nourish our bodies. So Americans are consuming a lot of foods that are being taken out, fast foods, quick serve, all of that is good, but we got to make the right choices. And so we are course, some of the foods are of poor nutritional quality, but we know there are healthier options are possible. You can dial up the nutrition without compromising flavor and satisfaction. Go for plant foods, eating more minimally processed plant foods. Anything you're going to eat, you look at it. Where did it come from? If it comes from an animal, you know it's high in saturated fats. Saturated fats is the fats that clog your arteries, problems with the heart. And it's not only the heart, anything affects the heart eventually affects the brain. So watch that. Eating more minimally processed plant foods. Fruits, as I said before, nuts, seeds. Seeds are healthy there. Your vegetables. When you order your vegetables, if it's a takeout, don't have them put excessive amounts of butter or oil on it. You don't need that. Take beans. As I said, half a cup of beans is equivalent to like 1 ounce of meat. So if you have like a cup of beans, you have almost 2 to 3, equivalent in terms of protein to almost 2 to 3 servings of meat. Use the whole grains, as I said before. It must say whole. It's better for your health. Now, as an added bonus, the plant foods like the fruits, your vegetables, that's why we talk about those foods all the time. They have potassium. Potassium is what helps us to offset. Sodium and potassium works together. One is inside the cell, one is outside the cell. Sodium inside the cells, that's why when we have excessive sodium, we retain fluid, you get all swollen and things like that. Fluid around the heart, in the legs and things like that. So the thing about it, when you eat foods high in potassium, it helps to change that dynamic, you know, and so you don't retain that much sodium because the potassium is going to help. But our problem, we are eating a lot of high sodium foods with inadequate potassium rich foods. Where do you get the potassium rich foods? From foods again like nuts and seeds and fruits and vegetables. That's your healthier food choices there. All the beans, that's where you get that. Now, so by doing that, you counteract getting high blood pressure and swelling and fluid around the lungs and all of that. So look for plant forward choices, your green salads, beans, veggies. If you have to buy outside, you know, fruits, whole grain bowls, vegetarian options. And most restaurants now will give you give you a swap. They will take away the starchy vegetable and give you a non-starchy, which is very healthy. Things like French fries and so on, onion rings, they are high in sodium and high in fat. And it's not the healthy fat, that's the saturated fat because the oil was heated to a high level to fry it and it changed the chemical structure. So now it's clogging your arteries. So just make the healthier food choices. Double up in your lettuce, tomatoes, onions, avocado, peppers. Put that more on your sandwiches or on your burgers and stay away from the French fries. Don't overlook dishes from different cuisines. Like sometimes the Asian dishes, they have tofu. Tofu is used instead of meat, but it doesn't have the saturated fat to clog up your arteries. That was my dinner last night. I had tofu, you know. So I got my protein, but I didn't get all that saturated fat, which I would have gotten if I had eaten anything from an animal source. Foods like, you know, people who live around the Mediterranean, the type of foods that they eat, things like the Indian dal, the lentils, all of these are made from plant foods and it's cheaper than buying the meat. If you buy a dish that is made with beans and, you know, vegetables and a little rice, and you buy a meal that is from, you know, whether it's beef or potatoes and even a vegetable, the meat item would be a lot more expensive. So another thing, don't overdo your starches. Look at the grains. That's why we say whole grains. When you buy the whole grain products, the fiber in the whole grain does not break down into sugar. The whole thing is our bodies are too excessive in sugar, simple sugars, foods we are eating, things that are fried, added sugars, processed in the body, and so it's simple sugars. They break down into glucose. Once it breaks down into glucose, what it does, it predisposes you to pre-diabetes, especially if it runs in the family. So you want to watch that, even high blood pressure. So high intake of refined grains, a refined grain is like white rice, white pasta, that was refined. That's not how it started out. Started up as a whole grain, brown, but then they kept, taking out the different layers and processing it, and so you get that problem. Again, the white pasta, white potatoes, peas, corn, some of the breakfast cereals like corn flakes, anything that's processed. You want when you buy these foods like the cereals, where it says fiber, it should say at least 3 or more, preferably 5 grams of fiber per serving. If you don't see that, then you know it's a very low fiber product. It's processed. So we got to learn how to spend our dollars wisely. At least half your grains should be whole grains. Request whole grain options. If you go to buy food, and this, some of the restaurants and are making the changes also. They are providing more brown rice, and you have that option. You can ask for brown rice instead of the white pasta. Ask for a whole grain pasta. The thing is, the more we ask for it, the vendors will provide it. But if we are not asking and requesting it, they will continue giving us the white rice and the white pasta. But now we are seeing a change that they are providing a lot of these higher fiber products. As I said before, watch instead of the French fries, take an extra salad when you're buying foods out. Um, Breadsticks, make sure it's whole wheat, whole grain. Skip the processed meat. Evidence has been consistently shown a link between consuming processed meats like pepperoni, ham, sausage, bacon, deli turkey, and diabetes, stroke, heart disease, premature death, and cancer. So you see what we are saying? All these processed meats, what they're looking at, it's more heart problems. We are getting more cardiovascular diseases. And so there are ways we don't have to eat all these processed meats right now. We are not getting very healthy protein from it because the protein, you may get it, but it's so high in salt and it's so high in saturated fats that it offsets the benefit of the protein. Order like seafood, plant-based proteins. There are a lot of plant-based proteins. We are fortunate now. There are a lot of plant-based proteins. You can get a veggie burger, things that are unprocessed, poultry. You don't want what we call the processed meats, like the bologna and the salami and the sausages. Those are more processed meats because they added a whole lot of stuff to a little bit of meat, and that's how it became more processed. So embrace the abundance of better for you fish and seafood options. Fish is healthy. The only thing is if you constantly eat fried fish, when the oil is heated to the level where the fish has to be fried, what happens? It takes away a lot of the nutrients. You don't get the best nutrients from your fish at that point. So choose a healthy plant-based option. Something completely different could become your new favorite. Look for things that are steamed. If it says steamed, if it says baked, broiled, grilled, or roasted, any of that is better than if it says deep fried. So when you go to buy your choices, you're taking out food, so you're at a restaurant, look for where it says broiled, grilled, roasted. What you're going to do in the beginning, if you are used to a lot of high fried foods, it's going to take a little while for your taste buds to get used to the new choices that you are making, the healthier choice. But eventually, you're going to appreciate it because you're going to feel better. And so it's healthier for your body, and your taste buds become used now to foods that are broiled and foods that are baked. That's the whole thing. Our taste buds are used to the high salt, high fat, and we have to change that. so that we could tolerate healthier foods. Things with heavy cream and a lot of butter, these sauces, we got to stop adding that type of stuff to our system. It's not good again. Things like fried, crispy, creamy, smothered, anything that says au gratin when you're going to order foods, au gratin. Once it's au gratin, it's a lot of high fat sauces with cheese in there. You may say it tastes better, but those are treats. Those are things you take once in a while, like deep fried scallops, anything that says Alfredo, it's in a heavy, thick cream. You got to watch that. And the salt, again, is high sodium. Always think of high blood pressure. Blood pressure that is not treated eventually turns into strokes, heart disease. They are telling us that most of the sodium that is consumed in the United States right now comes from processed foods and preparation when they prepare these foods in advance, and some of the restaurants. But I have to say, some of the restaurants are making some very good changes. You know, they are trying to reduce some of the sodium in their diets. But if we keep asking for the high fat, high sodium products, of course, they will do that. So we have to request healthier foods, and eventually the manufacturers and the restaurants and everybody will make the changes. So at the study that they did at Tufts University, it had, looked at what the restaurants were serving, what people were ordering, and they tried to make changes, cutting down the salt to what we say like 2,300 milligrams of sodium. What that means is you're not adding all this extra salt to your foods, and you're buying things with low calorie dressings. The condiments, you don't have to use all that sodium. Let them use herbs, spices, things like, more garlic, more onions, more celery, all these flavor the foods without all that sodium and all that fat. Lower sodium options, healthier, anything where you can look for the nutrition label and see how much sodium it has in it. You want to make sure it says less than 5%. When I go shopping and I see something, I look quickly on the label. If it says sodium 5, I would prefer it to be a little less, but 5 is like the maximum. 5% sodium or less, okay. Once it starts going up to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it's definitely too much sodium in there. And we have to start watching that. Most of the illnesses we have comes from excessive sodium, excessive fat. If your meal is a lot, share your meal with someone or save half for the next day. You don't want to eat excessive amounts of it. Healthier food choices. Don't hesitate to, when you go to buy a meal, to ask the restaurants to give you a healthier choice. They are willing to do that now. So I will stop for a while and see if you have any questions, and then we can always, continue. Anyone want to ask a question or any questions now?
Yes, we have one question. Well, we have multiple questions.
Okay.
I see one here in the Q&A. Air frying uses much less oil, but is it really healthier?
Yes, I've been doing a lot of, research on it, checking it out. And so far, they're still saying it's not a bad option because I'm looking to see what's the, what else is going to come up with it. So far, it's less oil. I think the key thing is this. When we air fry, it makes the exterior of the food crispy. And so it takes in less fat. In terms of fat, it's healthier. We don't have information yet to show, well, maybe that type of cooking, what if it's destroying any of the health benefits of the food. I haven't seen that yet. So far, they're saying it's a healthier option because it's using less fat. That's what information I have at this time. Personally, I still don't use it as yet. I'm still waiting to see what will come out of it. But so far, it's considered a healthier option. in terms of the fat.
Claudia, we have another question here.
Yes.
Is 2% milk okay for cholesterol?
No, 2% milk, even in the schools, the children, after 2 years, we brought them down to 1% milk at the daycare. 2% milk is still too much milk fat. It should be 1% milk. Try to change your taste buds so you can, use the lower fat milk. It still has a little too much of saturated fat in there. It's not the best choice. So what you can do initially, if you think you have a problem tolerating, the 1%, you could mix it with a little 2% and gradually taper it down to where you have just 1% milk or no fat. To me, no adult should be using 2% milk. So in all the senior centers and everywhere, we have driven just 1% milk or low fat. Those are the two options. But that was a good question because a lot of people think the 2% is, nope, still too high in fat.
All right, we have another question. I am allergic to egg whites and soy, and also gluten upsets my stomach. Do you know any recipes that don't include those foods? Also, do you know any alternatives to those foods?
Okay, egg whites, those are emulsifiers. So, let's see, what could you use in place of egg whites? You want to put a product together. Sometimes what we use, they can use like a low, something like an oil that is made to take the place of the egg whites, which you want to, get it. You cannot use butter or anything. So you may have to use an oil, like an olive oil or one of those oils. You add a little to that. But why we use egg whites is really to hold the product together. So you can probably use a little cornstarch based on what you are making, because the egg whites you can. But if you're using the egg whites for protein, just remember the yolks have protein also. So there is no need to think that if you eat the yolk only, you don't get protein. For some reason, we had this thing that only the whites you got the protein, but we know now you get some protein in the egg yolks also. But the egg whites are used as a binder also. So it's a little, there are some products I say that you can use like a little, based on what you're making, a little cornstarch or something that takes the place of the egg white if it's to bind up, a product together. So what was the other question? Now, do egg yolks have a higher cholesterol than the rest of the egg? Well, the cholesterol of the egg is really in the yolks. But the thing with eggs, that is why regardless of how we talk about cholesterol, you notice we don't come down very damaging on egg yolks, because egg yolks do have some cholesterol, but they can fit in the diet. The eggs, you can have an egg a day because you need some cholesterol in the system. I think where we were more concerned was really the saturated fats. Okay. Right. So that was what that's what we look at most of all. The saturated fats, the cholesterol in the egg yolk. You can have an egg every day. You can, and it really wouldn't send up your cholesterol that much. It's the saturated fats that clog the arteries a little more than the cholesterol. So don't stay away from eggs, because eggs have one of the highest quality proteins also. It has a good.
Claudia, we have another question here. When you take vitamin D, does your stored fat help break down the vitamin D, or do you have to include fat in your diet?
Right. Vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin, which means if there is not some fat in the system, it will not be broken down. But it is better if you are taking it with a meal. I will always take my vitamin D after I eat a meal that has some fat in it, because vitamins A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K, those four are fat soluble vitamins. Without a little fat in the product or what you are eating, you cannot depend on stored fat to break it down. That stored fat is already into the system. You have to take it with the meal, that you're having a meal with a little fat in it, or something that has a little fat for it to be broken down. So if you're saying, well, listen, I ate something high in fat yesterday and I'm taking my vitamin D now with some juice. No, because the juice has no fat. Juice has zero fat. So you take your vitamin D after a meal that has a little fat in there.
We have another question here. Soft tofu in place of egg whites for a person who is allergic?
If you're allergic to eggs,
Yeah.
definitely. Tofu is excellent. 1 ounce of tofu has 7 grams of protein. 1 egg has 7 grams of protein. You see, and the tofu is from a plant base, which is what we are trying to get people to eat better from, more plant based, kind of reduce some animal products, animal fats in the diet. So tofu is an excellent choice. So you're going to get the same ounce per ounce, you get 7 grams of protein if that's what you're looking for.
Right, we have two more questions, and I think that'll be it for today. Do you take vitamin D at night, or what's the best time to take it?
Okay. Lately, I don't know, whoever asked that question must have heard about the latest. Lately, we have been hearing something about taking vitamin D in the evening. I want to see a little more study on that before I go out there, but main thing is to take the vitamin D with a meal that has a little fat in there. That's the key thing. So maybe taking it after dinner is not bad, because it may be metabolized better when you're resting. But I've heard a little about that, but I want to get some more information onto why they think taking it at night might be better. The only thing I can think of, vitamin D is one of the fat soluble vitamins, which we are looking at in terms of the brain. So I don't know if maybe when the brain is at rest, it is absorbed better through the membranes. And that is why they are looking at it, taking it at night. But would like to see some more studies before I advocate that. Personally, I saw it before, and to get the 800 units which I need, I will take like 4 in the morning and I take the other 4 at night. If I'm taking an 800 international units of vitamin D, I will take it in the evening now. So
We have two more questions.
go ahead, that's okay.
Multivitamin to be taken before or after meals?
You're supposed to eat and then take it. Or if you take it, you eat right away. Do not take vitamins on an empty stomach or just with some juice. The vitamins cannot be broken down. All the vitamins A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K will not be broken down. So many times I see people flip a multivitamin with a cup of juice, and I'm saying waste of time. The vitamins are not broken down. That's why we have water-soluble vitamins and fat-soluble vitamins. Vitamin A, all the B, not A, but the B vitamins, vitamin C, folate, those are water-soluble vitamins. But vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K, you must have some fat. They cannot be broken down. So taking it with juice. Juice has no fat. Juice just has carbohydrates. So that is why it's taken with a meal. Remember, vitamins are a meal supplement, not a meal replacement. And so often I've seen people just flip vitamins and they think it's going to be okay, but it's a supplement. It's supplementing the meals. And the reason why we need these supplements is because foods are not prepared all the time to conserve nutrients from the time it's picked on the farm maybe the sunlight destroys some of the nutrients, and so we are not getting the top quality from the foods. That's why we need vitamins, which is called a supplement, supplementing the foods. So it's
All
important how you
right.
take those vitamins, very important.
I think this is it for today, right, Claudia?
Yeah, great. I think those were some excellent questions. Very good
Yes,
questions.
yes. Oh, somebody asked here. Let me see. Do you suggest taking added vitamins?
Taking added vitamins,
Yes.
I would say yes, even a simple one a day, because of the food supply. You know, most of us, if you evaluate a day's supply of how people eat, we are not getting all the nutrients we need. And sometimes it's the way we prepare the foods. The thing is, sometimes you may be eating the right foods, but it's not prepared properly. And you destroy vitamins. You have, as I said, water soluble vitamins, too much water. You have fat soluble vitamins, not it's not prepared. You fry foods. When you fry foods, you destroy the nutrients in the foods. So we are not getting the best and of the nutrients. So that's why we say a little one a day is, and based on age, we have certain, as you get older, there are certain nutrients which you may definitely need a supplement, because you're not getting it from the foods that you eat. If you are really, eating your, 3 to 5 servings of green leafy vegetables every day, you're not overcooking it. You are having, like your meats, everything is like low fat, and you're really following the guidelines and exercising, I can say, well, fine, but it's a very small, less than a percent of us are really following. Even nutritionists, we don't always follow it the way it says. So therefore, I think a good one a day vitamin can help. It wouldn't hurt, not excessive amounts.
Yeah. Thank you so much,
Okay,
Claudia.
thank you
This
all for
was great.
listening. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
before we leave, I just want to show the slides again um, about section 8.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, section 8, the waitlist is now open until the 28th of this month. If you need help to apply for it, please get in contact with us. There is our information, and you can also apply online. There is the website. I'm going to say it in Spanish. La sección 8, la lista de espera está abierta. Si necesitan ayuda para aplicar, por favor, no duden en contactarnos. Y si quiere aplicar en línea, también puede hacerlo. Y ahí está el link. Also, ERAP. Again, if you need help, please let us know once the application is open. We'll help you apply, or you can also apply online. And that's it for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and thank you, Claudia.
And thank you all again. And thanks to Etna.
Of course, yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye.